Namaskar, I am KG Kapoor, a safety professional and farmer scientist DIDO. In today's session, we are going to discuss about safeguarding of machinery. Under this, the first title we shall be discussing on concept of safe machine guiding. The concept of safe machine guiding is further divided in five sections: the introduction and objectives, types of cranes, tools and tackles used in crane operations, safety in use of tools and tackles. There are certain terminology we will like to elaborate. Safeguards include guards, safety devices, shields, awareness barriers, warning signs, safe work procedures, and personal protective equipment used on their own or in combination. Guard refers to a specific type of safeguard. Normally, people confuse between safeguard and the guide. Now, I think the definition is clear to you. Machine guiding is safety feature on or around manufacturing or other engineering equipment consisting of a shield or device covering hazardous areas of a machine to prevent contact with body parts or to control hazards like chips or spark from existing the machine. A crane is a tower or derrick that is equipped with cables and pulleys that are used to lift and lower material. The concept of machine guiding is not new. Machine can significantly improve production and efficiency, but they do not come without risk. The session Safeguarding of Machinery is focused on what mechanical operations mean and the various hazards connected to mechanical operations. We shall take up the study of one mechanical operation, cranes, in detail to provide an overall insight on safety in mechanical operations. After studying this session, lecture 7, you will be able to understand types of cranes, tools and tackles used for crane operations, safety and use of tools and tackles. In subsequent lectures 8 and 9, you will learn about hazards of working with cranes, safety factors to be observed in crane operations, and the importance of safe loading in operations of crane and the related aspect of cranes. There are several types of cranes. We can say cranes are commonly used in the construction industry and in manufacturing of heavy equipment. The top 7 types of cranes are normally temporary structures either fixed to the ground or mounted on a custom-built vehicle. Cranes can either be controlled from an operator in a cab that travels along with the crane by a push-button pendant control stations or by radio-type controls. In subsequent discussions, focus on different types of crane and their application will be given. Mobile crane are the most standard and versatile type of crane used in construction and other industries. As shown in the figure on right hand side, the mobile hydraulic cranes consist of a stress truss or telescopic boom mounted on a mobile platform, which could be a rail, wheeled, or even on a truck. The boom is hinged to the bottom and can be either raised or lowered by cables or hydraulic cylinders. Mobile cranes, footprint and mobility make it versatile. These cranes can be mounted easily close to where you need to hoist the materials, moving a crane into a position that allows it to lift the materials with the correct crane capacity, each affected by footprint of the crane. What is the footprint? The footprint is the area required to have the crane set up its outer riggers into position that allows it to hoist the material while remaining inside the crane chart requirements. Telescopic cranes offer a boom that consists of a number of tubes fitted one inside the other. The hydraulic mechanism extends or retracts the tubes to increase or decrease the length of the boom. Most construction cranes today are in some form a telescopic crane, except for lattice boom crane. We will see in the next figure that lattice boom crane has a frame of steel structure which is bolted together to get the right height for the hoist. This is a lattice boom crane. This has frame of steel structure which is bolted together to get the right height of the hoist. Tower cranes is a modern form of balance crane. This type of crane you must have seen in most of the tall building or multi-story construction. When fixed to the ground, tower cranes will often give the best combination of height and lifting capacity and are mostly used when constructing tall buildings. Some large tower cranes reach up to 1000 meters high. One important thing to note about tower cranes as they construct past a specific height is that it is mandatory to have the tower crane secured to the building to help prevent crane sway and crane tipping. This is most important safety precautions, or you can say operating features mandatorily required for operation of any tower cranes. There is another crane, truck mounted crane. Truck mounted crane are also known as boom truck or picker truck as shown in the right hand side figure. Whenever cars are parked on wrong side in non-parking area or on the road, then this truck pickers will come and will lift your car. Boom trucks or the picker trucks are cranes mounted on a truck with rubber tires and provide great mobility. Outriggers that extend vertically or horizontally are used to level and stabilize the crane during hoisting. The capacity of these cranes rarely exceeds 50 tons. As mentioned above, their versatility is found in their mobility and reach. There are so many rough terrains, especially in hilly area, for which we have to move the material through the crane. A rough terrain crane is a crane that is mounted on an undercarriage with rubber tires designed for operations off-roads. Especially such type of cranes are suitable for areas where there is hills and valleys or terrain is not plain. The outriggers extend vertically and horizontally to level the stabilize the crane when hoisting. These types of cranes are single engine machines where the same engine is used for powering the undercarriage as it is for powering the crane. These cranes are ideal for uneven, dirty and rocky terrain construction sites. The mobility and the ability of the crane to travel around the site make it an effective support crane for lighter hoist on highway construction and infrastructure projects. There is another type of crane we call loader crane. As the name suggests, these cranes are the loader cranes are normally called a folding boom crane. Is a hydraulic powered articulated arm fitted to a trailer used to load equipment onto a trailer. The numerous sections can be folded into a small space when the crane is not in use. This means it is very easy to store such type of crane when they are not in function. Capacity of these cranes have increased dramatically over the years. Presently, there are over 200 tons capacity ladder folding boom cranes in the market nowadays. This is also one of the very important crane basically used in industry, we call overhead crane, or sometimes we call EOT crane, or electric overhead traction crane. This crane is significantly useful for any industry for movement of one item from one place to other place, or combination of item from one place to other place, as well as in the vertical direction to shift item from one platform to other platform. An overhead crane, also referred to as an electric overhead traction crane, as discussed earlier, is normally used in a factory, with some of them being able to lift very heavy loads. Larger overhead cranes, also known as Goliath cranes or gantry cranes in the industry, can be found in use in shipyards, steel plants, rocket motor complexes, and other large outdoor manufacturing plants. The hoist is set on a trolley which will move in one direction along one or two beams which move at angles to that direction along elevated ground level tracks, often mounted along the side of an assembly area. EOT crane is having most important part is pendant, that is operating unit. We should check frequently or before operations with the help of this pendented all the operations, that is lifting, hoisting, shifting, coming down, and all other relevant operations, so that pendant operation will be safe, as well as whenever you are hoisting or lowering any job or moving a job from one place to other place, it will not stop in between the operations. Another aspect of EOT crane, important safety feature is to be inspected is hook block. Sometime after many years of working, these hook blocks may get damaged, or some crack may also develop if it is defective at manufacturing stage. Therefore, hook crane is very important feature, because the hook crane, if suppose some load is hanging to the hook crane, then this load can fall down if there is any defect in hook crane. And the next but important feature is wire rope. This is very neglected area, especially in developing countries, that wire ropes of the EOT cranes are not being checked frequently. Whenever there is a task, especially for lifting the heavy load, wire rope should be checked for their sound health, because one or the two strands may come out, you can continue to use. But suppose many strands have come out, and at different places you are finding out the wires are coming out of the strand, then you should be cautious and you should inspect thoroughly entire crane along with the load lifting. If wire rope is defective, then it should be replaced immediately. There are other portions are also there which should be checked for smooth operation of the crane. That is, some items are like beams, that there should not be any obstructions on the beams, and trolley movement, bearings, motor, shifts. The all are items being checked as a part of preventive maintenance. These are some defects in wire ropes. There are so many defects may be there, but some defects which are commonly seen in the wire rope and ignored due to lack of knowledge are listed here. If we move from the left hand side in the figure, kinking is one of the defects, as it is already visible that one strand is coming out of the wire rope. Another defect is doggles, and so many other defects may be wide cage and shaver bears and broken wires, and the defect of due to corrosion and damaged fittings, and some more may be there. So this defect should be inspected properly in the wire rope. If any of this defect is there in the wire rope, it should not be used, and it should be immediately corrective action should be taken, and ideally it should be replaced. Some more defects have been shown here, due to which wire ropes may fail. That is, abrasion caused failures. because this abrasion normally ignored because sometimes this length of the wire is too high and there is a pressure of the job as well as operator continuing to doing routine activities. That therefore this defect is oversighted and there may be some failure of the wire rope due to abrasion. Corrosion is another factor, especially in such area where there is salty water due to sea or some other regions, or there is a chemical plant. The possibility of corrosion is much more. If a crane is handling some chemicals, whatever may be the metal of the wire ropes, corrosion likely to happen, and we should inspect the intensity of corrosion. If they are too high or some wires have already coming out of the strand, then these wires should be changed. Next is the core protrusions. This is nothing but some wire may be over stretched and a core have been protrusions. Fatigue cast failure. The fatigue means a number of times this wire ropes is being used frequently, and after certain frequency of the operations, the fatigue will start, and due to this fatigue, some area will be minimized of a few wire ropes, and then this wire rope may fail when it is in operation. This is next figure in the middle of the bottom row is showing the kinked rope. This kinked rope is also very dangerous because with passage of time, stress concentration will be there, and the fatigue will further increase the failure possibility of this wire rope. And the last is the tension caused failure. This is very normal failures has been seen. If before failure, normally these wire ropes should have been replaced because this is due to overloading of ropes. If you are not overloading the ropes, then there will not be any region of failure due to tension, and therefore overloading of the crane is strictly prohibited and mandatory. It is as if you are breaking the safety rules. Tools and tackles for crane. Any handling process or application of crane needs tools and tackles for tying up the job or lifting the job. Therefore, they are also as important as entire crane. Why? Because this becomes an integral part of the handling system. This is one of the area where very least extension has been given, even though they are defective. In Indian industries, operators continue to use due to work pressure or non-availability of the new tools and tackles. This was showing a handling belt. This is a polyester belt at 40 ton of the capacity, but we will see that at the peripheral places, there are some fibers have start peeling off. Therefore, such types of belt should not be used, and even though if it is required to be used, it should be either tested with the safe working load, or they should be derated for handling the material. Suppose this belt is 40 ton of the capacity, then we should not lift, we should derate this to 30 ton or 20 ton depending on the age of the belt as well as the condition of the belt. Therefore, there will not be any unsafe activity on account of this belt. This is another tackles for the crane we call handling brackets. Sometimes jobs are coming in such a fashion you cannot use the belt, but these are the handling brackets. If you use these handling brackets are fitted on the jobs or the item to be lifted, and then these brackets are subjected to be tied up with the ropes or the belt. Directly job is not getting in contact of the lifting wire or belt because of its uneven or delicate conditions. Therefore, these brackets are used, and if we see in this bracket, they should be inspected for corrosion as well as damage as per schedule time. This is also a D-shackle of 20 ton capacity. operator thinks what may went wrong in this D-cycle. He will see this polished, daily he is looking this D-cycle and nothing he is seeing abnormal. But with passage of time when we use the D-cycle, its opening start expanding. If opening start expanding, what does it mean? That means it is subjected to fatigue failure, and in that case, and sometimes this may fail to result in a serious accident. Another thing in this D-cycle is the pin. Pin should also be inspected periodically for its sound conditions. This is another type of D-cycle. This is also to be inspected periodically, and especially its load concentrated area at the middle of the D-cycle. This is eye bolts normally used in the industry for lifting small items where the job or the article or the object is having some threads. These eye bolts are fitted in the threads, and then they are within these eye bolts either chain or wire or some special belts that are being inserted, and the job is moved, shifted or lifted from one place to other place. But important thing is that due to this load concentration, or you can say stress concentration, it may fail in between the operation. Apart from this, we should also see whether the diameter of this cycle is still circular or it is D-shaping. If it is D-shaping, then we should be cautious that it may fail to perform in a safe manner. Another, this blue color arrow, we have shown that these threads are likely to damage if it is overloaded. Therefore, we should also inspect the threads for its soundness. There not be tear and wear on the threads. Therefore, all the 3 points we have discussed in the eye bolt is very significant and normally ignored in the industry, because primarily it seems to be sound, but we see closely, as shown by the green arrow, there may be some cracks or some D-shape. Shown by the red arrow, that it is a stress concentration area, a fine crack which may not be visible by naked eye, likely to happen here. However, this can be checked normally by hitting with the hammer on the stem or with microscope. And the third is the thread. Naturally, these are, if not sound, they will slip and fail to perform in a safe manner. Therefore, the tools and tackles inspection is a very important factor when handling with the crane. This is another important item, saddles. These saddles are used normally for a delicate cylindrical object. These objects are kept on these saddles, but important is whether these saddles are still having enough strength to bear the load of the object. And if it is a delicate object like a rocket motor which is filled with tons of explosives, if this saddle fails, you can imagine what is going to happen. There may be a disaster due to explosion on account of falling of the rocket motor, or some damage may occur in the outer shell of the rocket motor. This damage is irreversible, cannot be repaired. Therefore, the saddle should be inspected for corrosion and the stickiness of the felt, as well as welding joints wherever possible. Because a single defect in the saddle will give us enough alarm to replace it. We should not use, if we are using this defective saddles, then it should be, before defect, it should be repaired properly and again load tested for safe working load. This you cannot forget that this missile is normally kept on the saddles. Therefore, you can see, suppose saddles are not in good conditions, and such type of missile fails to on the saddle itself, and this there will be a significant loss of the property. There will be a significant damage to the object which will not be repairable. Therefore, I strongly recommend that inspect handling tools and tackles before use. At least you can inspect with your naked eye, you can inspect with your hand, or you can inspect with the sound if it is giving an abnormal sound when they are hit by a metallic object. If this is the normal things you can check. However, I also strongly recommend for the preventive maintenance of such type of tools and tackles, preventive maintenance must be completed at scheduled time. Inspection schedule for tools and tackles has already been prescribed in several Indian legislations. This is the factory model rules which specify in chapter 4 that every tools and tackles including crane, lifting tackles and lifting tools and accessories etc. they should be checked as per given frequency every year. This is a mandatory requirement which every factory has to do. Here first item is the crane, which is a very general equipment. Its physical examination shall be completed half yearly as well as physical examination with load test shall be completed once in a year. Every year should be repeated. The second item is the lifting and tools and tackles. These items just discussed earlier, the physical examination is to be carried out once in a year, whereas physical examination with load test should be completed at least once in 5 years. There are no bar if you are completing or you are carrying out the inspection and testing before the scheduled date, because minimum frequency not restricted. Why? Because sometimes we have to carry out some delicate operations, then these inspections are being carried out in advance. Lifting tools and accessories like belt, ropes, chains and eye bolt, shackles we have discussed in the previous slide. Is the physical examination with load test is to be completed yearly. However, whenever you are using these tools and tackles, before the use of these, at least some whatever possible inspections you should carry out, so that you will having confidence that whatever tools and tackles you are using will not fail to perform in between the operations. As far as mandatory requirement is concerned, that the report of the inspection of these tools and tackles and lifting devices shall be prepared in a prescribed format which is given in the Factory Act 1947. At the same time, whatever some key information like safe working load, lift, due date of testing and date of testing, and other information as prescribed by the factory in the Factory Act should be displayed on the equipment such as cranes or lifting tackles itself, and it should be visible from a suitable distance to the operator so that he can ensure that due date is still there and the inspection not expired. Thank you for learning safety skills, and contact for any question whenever you find in your mind. Thank you.